everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. I'm here for another episode, and yeah, I took another month off. And I know that I spoke in my last episode about kind of diving deep into vulnerability and how I was back, I was ready to do this, and I took another month off. And that's just kind of how the past month has been. It's been a month of adjusting, you guys. It's been, there's a lot that's happened. But basically, I just want to say hi if you guys are listening to me. And if you're watching on my YouTube channel, hi, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys so much listening in when you can or where you can. And yeah, let's get started into the episode here. But basically, I just want to do a little tiny little life update. So yeah, I took a month off, and again, a lot has happened in the past month. My husband is now back to work full time, and so that was an adjustment. I am now with the kids most of the week and most of the time. And so if you're a stay-at-home mom, you can understand that it takes a lot of energy and a lot of your time. It takes all your time, and it's good, but it's also hard. And we really, really appreciated the 2 months that we had with my husband at home. It was just such a treat, and we really enjoyed having that family time. And me and my husband never spent that much time together ever in our entire relationship, and we definitely grew from it, that's for sure. But yeah, also some other news is that if you guys haven't been following me on Instagram, I have been sharing with you guys that I had redone a dollhouse for my daughter's 4th birthday, and I got a chance to reveal it to her for her birthday, and it was amazing. If you guys want to go check out that video on my YouTube channel, you can go do that. It was super fun to do, and she had the best reaction. But anyways, that definitely sparked something within me, and I enjoyed it so much that I am actually doing another dollhouse, and I'm making that one over for someone who wanted theirs redone. And so who knows if I'm going to actually make that a thing, but if you guys are looking for a dollhouse redo, you can contact me, I guess. I'm having so much fun redoing this other dollhouse. So if you want to follow along with that, it's been super fun to kind of bring out that inner child within me. And yeah, I really enjoy it. But yeah, learning so much in this past little while. Of course, I'm always learning things. Guys, let's just be real. I've never arrived. I've never figured everything out. And so I'm always learning, and I've definitely been trying to prioritize reading a lot more. I primarily like to read nonfiction books just because I like to learn something when I read. But fiction books are great too to kind of escape. And anyway, with that, it's been really great to do that during kind of my me time, other than doing the dollhouse stuff. But basically, I have been just being just a bit more self-reflective. And you know me, you guys, you know that I like to be self-reflective. I always like to grow and to be able to change my perspectives on things and just to dive deep into why I'm doing the things I'm doing. Basically, I tried to dive deep into why I took another month off the podcast and why I kind of know. I mean, let's just be real. Well, what I had talked about in my previous episode was basically that this podcast is really vulnerable for me. And me being vulnerable is difficult. I always really liked to keep my guard up when it comes to people. And when I let my guard down and I get hurt, I kind of add another wall. And I kind of add another wall up. And so it's hard for me to kind of break down those walls and for me to get vulnerable. I know that you guys really do appreciate me being real and talking about things that maybe we don't usually talk about as women and as mothers. And so I've made this commitment to this podcast, and I love doing this, you guys. This is seriously the outlet that I feel most fulfilled with. I love doing my other motherhood content on my YouTube channel, kind of like day in the life vlogs and things like that. But I wanted to push my limits a little bit more on how I can help you, because that's why I started this, was to help you and to help you have some encouragement or some new perspective, or just kind of help you along your motherhood journey. Because for me, I know I need to be fueled. And so I fuel myself with other podcasts, reading books, things like that to kind of change my perspectives or to kind of come alongside me as I'm journeying through this time in my life. And I find that it is so incredibly helpful. And so I thought that, okay, since I really enjoy doing this, I want to help people, why not I can do this too? And so I started this podcast just to feel like, okay, this is something that truly matters. And this is something that I can grow with. And obviously this is my 6th episode, which is extremely exciting. And I have seen myself grow even through these episodes, which is wonderful to see. But even though that I have felt like I have accomplished so much, there's this little voice in the back of my head that tends to tell me that I haven't arrived yet, that I don't deserve what I have worked for, or that it's not because of my abilities or my hard work that I've gotten to where I am, or that I'm not able to be valuable with the information I have or what I can contribute, to kind of put it plainly. And sometimes, even though I've been like 100% truthful here on my platforms, I sometimes feel like, why would anyone want to listen to me? Which is really, really sad when you think about it. We all have something to say, and we all have someone who wants to hear what we have to say. And for me, a good definition of this is called imposter syndrome. So if you've heard of it before, or if you haven't, I'm just going to read a definition for you guys to help kind of understand this a little bit more. Imposter syndrome is a psychological pattern in which one doubts one's accomplishments and has a persistent internalized fear of being exposed as a fraud. Despite external evidence of their competence, these experiencing this phenomenon remain convinced that they are frauds. They do not deserve all they have achieved. Individuals with imposterism incorrectly attribute their success to luck or to interpret it as a result of deceiving others into thinking they are more intelligent than they perceive themselves to be. So even though none of that is true, you believe it yourself. And that, you're not a good mother, or you haven't, or maybe for me that I don't deserve to have the following that I do on YouTube because I feel like I haven't accomplished, because who wants to listen to me? Who wants to watch my videos? It's all about, it kind of all comes back to not being confident in myself. And it's thinking that I'm not good enough to contribute, which in turn is just lies, right? And so for me, I have doubted myself, which I think we all doubt ourselves sometimes. I don't think that anyone doesn't ever go through that. But I think through this is that combating those thoughts and not entertaining those thoughts, but to maybe switch the perspective and flip it on its head, saying, instead of saying, I don't deserve to be here, or who wants to listen to me? Like, my accomplishments aren't real because of this or that, which doesn't really make sense. We can flip it on its head and be like, wow, I do deserve to be here. Look at all the things that I have gone through and I have accomplished to be where I am right now. And even for me, like looking back on my life, like guys, I've gone through a lot of things. I've had hardships. I know what it's like to struggle. I know what it's like to completely doubt everything. And through that, I find when you flip those negative perspectives and flip them into a positive thought or a constructive thought, that is exactly where growth happens. And for me, knowing that I am loved and I am cared for and that I am valuable and that people do want to hear what I have to say, and saying those things to yourself and building into your confidence as a person is so huge. And guys, I struggle with this every single day. I have about over 70,000 followers on all my platforms. And that's a lot of people. That's a lot of people. But the thing is, I still think that who wants to listen to me? Even though those people have subscribed to me, they're they're following me, they want to hear what I have to say, I still doubt myself. And even me posting on Instagram or posting a video, it's just another still in the back of my mind, I think it's still not good enough. And I think a lot of those thoughts can come from trying to be perfect too, which just really internally is another way that insecurity comes out. I want my videos to be a certain way. I want my Instagram to be a certain way. All of these things. And in reality, if it's not, I feel insecure, or I feel like I can't post something because there's a mistake, or I said something in a way that I didn't like, or something like that. So I'm trying to push through those feelings and those thoughts, and I'm trying to turn them on their head and try to be constructive through it. But honestly, how do we combat this inner imposter that tries to steal the joy of what we have and, wants it to be negative, So basically, one good thing to do if you're having these thoughts continuously is to talk to someone. I'm so thankful for my husband who listens to me and who talks to me about certain things in my life that I'm going through. And he's very much my teammate and my partner, and I appreciate him so much. And, even just talking about random things that are going through my mind, he's a really good listener. I really appreciate that about him. But talk to someone that you know and you trust. If you're feeling any sort of way that is overwhelming at all, not just with this, but with anything, talking to someone is so huge. And I find too, writing everything down is also incredibly helpful, especially when you are having negative thoughts. Write exactly how you feel down and read it and go over it and see how you can change that to be positive and how you can grow from those feelings. I find when I write things down, it kind of makes things a little bit more real. And then also it's easier for me to kind of organize my thoughts. I think too, at the end of the day, this really just comes down to knowing your self-worth and knowing that you are important and people want to hear what you have to say, and you are loved and that you are accepted. And I think when we don't feel those things, that's when this really creeps in. And I know for me, like, I faced a lot of rejection in my life, like a lot. I moved a lot as a child. And so having to start over when you're a child or even as an adult is really difficult. And finding when you get rejected from a lot of people, you just kind of, it can scar you a little bit. And so through that, I understand what happened in my life, but I'm not letting that rule. And I'm realizing that I need to push through those feelings of not feeling accepted and realizing that they're lies and it's not true. But anyways, I hope that this episode was helpful to you guys. Those are just some of my thoughts that I've been kind of going through recently, and just talking a little bit more about imposter syndrome and how you can combat those thoughts in your mind and, combating those toxic thoughts, because that's what they are, absolutely toxic, and they're not truthful. And so, again, I really do appreciate you guys listening to my podcast here. This is definitely an outlet where I can talk about things that are on my mind or things that I'm going through, and hopefully that you can relate to them and find some encouragement in them as well. I am always open to suggestions on what you guys want to hear for another episode. I will hopefully be doing more interviews here in the future. I just need to dive deep into that vulnerable feeling, and just to really understand that this is a space where I feel like very fulfilled with. And thank you guys again so much for listening. And if you're on my YouTube channel, thank you so much for watching. And we'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.